Well, welcome back again with another anime review for Trails of Cold Steel Northern War. This time it's going to be episodes 6 and 7. So let's just jump right into it. Okay, episode 6 begins with Levy. Actually, she having a dream or it's like kind of a nightmare because she's kind of like, she wake up sweating, but it's about her grandfather. And then his grandfather turns around and then he turns in the rain. So I guess like Levy has a problem with like heroes, which it kind of explains more in episode 7. But it kind of goes more, like I said, it goes more in detail in episode 7. So right now she's kind of a mystery in episode 6. So that got me thinking like what's going on with her. But then again, like it seemed like she had some personal issues with her grandfather. He was called a hero. So I kind of understand where the show's going. Anyway, right now like the group they just got to Celtic, and I wanted to see them walk through Celtic a little bit more than they actually did, but they kind of just get into a fight in the town because once they get into Celtic, Lecter eventually easily finds them. Then he comes up with Lecter shows up with Millium and Altina. So I thought that was kind of nice to see Millium back because I hadn't seen her in a minute. And honestly, I gotta say, Millium she kind of grew on me in the Trails Coast Steel 1 and 2. But honestly, by Trails Coast Steel 3, she's kind of like a fan favorite for me anyway. She really had to grow on me because at first I thought Million was annoying, and like I kind of like Eustace because he thought she was annoying too. Trails Cold Steel 3 come around, you kind of like want her to be around because by Trails Cold Steel 3, Eustace and Million they like besties or something. But anyway, enough of that. So like I said, all of them show up, and Marty like Lecter says that Marty he's the one who raised Celtic to the ground when they burned down Celtic and Cold Steel 2 during the Civil War that Duke Albury made the Northern Jaegers burn it down. So I thought that was kind of interesting because I was wondering how, like Marty, he seemed like a different character. He seemed like a character that had some depth to him. So I wonder what the show's gonna do with him. So I'm glad that they brought that back and said, oh, he's the one that burned Celtic down to the ground. And also, when they showed the scene of Celtic burned down to the ground, it looked at way more destroyed than what it looked in the game. But I guess that makes sense because I guess they didn't want to do too much like models of the game city, so they just like broke down the marketplace for the most part. But anyway, like the only person that really died in that whole fire was market manager Otto. So I don't know, but like he like Lecter made it sound way worse than what actually happened. Like it was a couple people injured. I know like Becky's father broke his arm or something like that, and it was a couple people unconscious, but everybody else survived. So it wasn't too bad. Well, while that was going on, it jumped over to show Claire going to visit Rufus in his office. Because right now, Rufus is the Governor General of Crossbell. So she visits him in his office, and they start talking about how Claire has to go back to working for the Chancellor because at this time point, she's working as an instructor for the Military Police Academy. That's basically where she meets Una from Trails Coast Steel 3. I know they talked about it a little bit, but they didn't go into too much details about what Claire was doing there. But besides all that, like Claire, she's wondering like what they're gonna do with Northumbria, and Rufus is basically like, oh yeah, we're gonna use that. We're gonna use Celtic being burned down as an excuse to make some what's it called reparations. Like they gonna ask for reparations for that from Northumbria, and they know Northumbria can't pay for that since Northumbria is poor. So basically, they're just gonna have to invade them, and they're gonna use that as the reason to do so. So after that conversation done, it goes back to where Lecter is with Million and Altina going against Lavi and her group, and Lavi like like basically Lavi's group they just be basically on the defensive because they try not to cause too much damage to the town, like because like it was one point Lavi pulls out a gun, but then like there's still like citizens walking around, so they're not trying to make too much chaos. So basically just like Altina and Million they just both attacking them. And it was at one point where like Milliam gets in Altina's way and they actually bump heads together. They actually fly into each other. That was kind of funny. That seemed like something that Milliam would do. Like she just gets in Altina's way. But anyway, okay. Besides all that, they chase after Levy because like all of them splits up and goes in different directions so they could lose him. But they go after Lavi because Lavi's father, well, her grandfather was like one of the heroes of Northumbria, and he's one of the two people that helped found the Northern Jaegers. It was Lavi's grandfather, and it was Sarah's father. What's his name? Colonel Valentine. Yeah. So it was those two ones that started them. So that's why they're trying to capture Lavi over anybody else. So Lavi manages to gets away. She hops on the top of a train and it kind of rides off, and like they can't go on the train. They can't go on the train tunnel because Altina might bump her head on the wall or something. She might fly into the wall. So they let her go, and then like like they regroup and all that. Like Lavi train, they regroup at a point, and where what's his name Marty's he started a fire where he's waiting for everybody else to show up, and then eventually everybody else do show up, and they get to talking about how he burned down Celtic, and Tally has a problem with it, but you can see like even what's her name's Syria, yeah, Syria. She has a problem with it too, because she has to do missions like that before. She had to do missions like that before too, but she don't enjoy doing it. So you can see how like it goes more in the mindsets of the Jaegers. See how like they did burn down Celtic, but they wasn't really happy about that, or at least everybody wasn't happy about that, because when it showed the flashback, it did show a couple of Marty's guys smiling and laughing, but Marty he looked like disappointed in himself. So it kind of shows more about like the different sides of Jaegers. It then jumps over to Rogan is getting into an argument with that dude Glark, the last hero that survived, and he's like the head of the Jaegers. So like basically Rogan he's getting into an argument with Glark, basically saying like how he wants to help and attack Erebon before they attack him first. But Glark is just kind of like, it's no way that they can win that fight. Which in Glark is correct, because Erebonian is way too strong. They have way too much firepower for the Northumbria to ever even put it into them. So like Rogan, he's kind of being crazy right now. It's like, what's he even planning? Like I know, like they are working with Ouroboros like behind the scenes, but even with Ouroboros working with them, there's still no way for them to win. Like Erebonian just has way too much military power. It then cuts back to Marty, Lavi, Syria, and Tally all together, where Milliam Martin, they find them, and then not Tally, Marty used himself as a decoy. He kind of stayed behind to let everybody else get away, and then like that's basically how the episode ends. The episode ends where basically it shows Lavi, Tally, and Syria all get on the back of a truck. It looks like, and they just like drives away. Episode 7 begins with a flashback of Sarah's past that you see in Cold Steel 3, where it goes in more detail how her father died. And at this scene, it kind of shows that somebody fired a gun and they shot him in the back, and it went through his chest and it kind of pierced his heart. At least that's what it looks like. But in this, like it shows more, it goes more detailed. And apparently, it was because of this dude. It was because of this kid. It was like a little kid that was in Needhogger, the Jaeger group that they was going against. He fired the gun, but Vlad was with him. He was trying to get the gun out of his hands, but Vlad got blamed for it. So that was something. So I thought that was kind of interesting, cause like I didn't see that coming. I thought like all this time I thought like somebody just caught him slipping, like, but I didn't know that it was like so bad that a little kid caught him. That's kind of messed up. So once the flashback is over, it goes back to where like Lavi and them they just got back to Northumbria, and they report back into Jaina. And Jaina, she's like, okay, like, oh yeah, good job with the mission and all that. But Tally, he's kind of upset about that, because like, yeah, they lost Marty, and like, but she doesn't really care. But it kind of goes to like the next scene where it shows Jaina's talking to somebody, but I don't know who she's talking to, but she's saying like, oh, it was a job well done that Marty got captured by Lecter, because like, well, she's calling him Scarecrow because that was she wanted to happen. So I'm wondering like, what is they planning? And like, she's trying to say like, what's going to ignite the powder kegs? It's like, what is she planning on doing with this? Like, I know like she has like I know she got some scheme going in the background, but I still can't figure it out though. Half the fun of the Trails games for me is figuring out all the schemes and all that, figuring out what everybody's planning on doing. So I'm kind of having a good time trying to figure out what her plan is, trying to pull all the pieces together. Anyway, on to the next scene. It shows what's her name? It shows Ring, Elliot, and Machias all sitting down at that one shop. It's actually in the game. I remember. I can't remember what the store is called, but I remember that shop though. I remember the area. It's the area where you find Crow sitting down eating in the Cold Steel 1, where you can have like where it's like these girls they seated like at the table, and like they're all gossiping about Ring, saying like what they think he looks like and all this and that and third. Yeah, so I know like Ring's feeling awkward. But with this conversation, like basically Elliot and Marcus is telling Ring not to stress out too much about like like trying to be a hero so much. But Ring is saying like, oh, he has to help people, he has to save lives if somebody's in danger or somebody's sad and he wants to help them. So that's like the typical Ring. I mean, he's always been like that. But they go more in depth into like his mindset in the anime. Like they talk about it a couple times in the game, but they never showed how all the situations he got put in when he was fighting for the Chancellor as Chevalier. Every situation that they put him in is because like he has to do something. Because if he doesn't do anything, like a lot of people gonna get hurt. And they also want him to act a lot, so like they want the name of the Chevalier to get more well known. Because in this episode, he says like the Chancellor, or he said Lecter told him directly that he needs to save as many people as possible. He needs to keep on being Ash Chevalier as many times as possible to get his name out there. So the next thing I thought was kind of interesting because it shows Marty and what's his name, Lecter, just sitting down at a tea shop having tea. Like yeah, like he got like a couple people, like got like a couple people like watching them as well. Like that's like blending in. That's like in wearing civilian clothes, like blending in. But I thought that was kind of interesting scene. In this scene, like Lecter's basically telling Marty like, oh yeah, like it'd be beneficial if if Northumbria joins the Empire, basically. And like while this scene was going on, they was talking about all this stuff. Like it cuts to a scene of Princess Alphen, Ring's little sister Elise, and Muse, all that scene in Australia. So I thought that was kind of interesting because like I thought that was kind of nice because like I always wondered like what type of hairstyle did Muse have while she was at Saint Australia, but she had those extensions in when she was at Saint Australia, so that makes sense. 'Cause I know she kept on wearing those extensions when she was acting as her normal personality, which is Mildine. But I was wondering about that with Muse. I'm glad they actually clarified that. Anyway, after that, like they have like Marty and like Lecter make a deal where they shake hands, but Marty he looks kind of shady when he shakes hands. Let's just say that. I don't know what he's planning, but they planning something. So Tally asks Lavi for a duel when they get back in the next scene, and Tally actually ends up losing the duel because I guess he's like so frustrated about what's going on. He's not thinking straight even during the battle. So like Lavi just like whoops him. She like just knocks him back and he lands on the floor on his back. I thought that was kind of pathetic. Seeing how bigger he is. Like, he's like a really big dude and like Lavi's like a little 15-year-old girl. That was kind of pathetic. Anyway, so this happens. Tally gets frustrated. And then Lavi, she like leaves off. She like heads off, and she's like heading towards Clark's office. And like while Clark is talking to Jaina, Jaina said something like how he had his grandfather framed. And then that's how what's her name, Lavi finds out about that that it was her grandfather wanted Clark to frame him so that the Northern Yankees could stay united. Because like if the two of them stayed together, if the two of them stayed in power, like the Northern Yankees wouldn't have been united as they would have been just under Clark's rule. So that's what the plan was. And then Clark he asks Levy to be here to be his right hand man. So I wonder what's going on with that. Like what's he planning with Levy? So that's another thing going on. And at the end of the scene, it shows Jaina sitting in a chair in the room, and it shows Tally at a door, and then he knocks on the door, and then like Jaina, she tells him to come in. That's where the episode's in. That's where episode 7 ends. So anyway, I really enjoy both the episodes. I'm looking forward to seeing the episode for next week to see what Tally does, because right now he's kind of tripping, and I don't really trust his judgment. I think he's gonna do something crazy. But anyway, I'll catch y'all next time. Take it easy.